Good. So we're doing this a little differently today for everyone who's watching or listening. I've got a very, very special guest today, the champ, Owen Beck, known as What the Heck Beck during his professional boxing career. The champ has been in there with many of the biggest and baddest names in professional boxing, ranging from Monte Barrett, David Rodriguez, Nikolai Valuev, the 7 foot giant. A lot of guys will remember him. He's been in there with so many big names. We're going to be getting in there shared rounds with Deontay Wilder, Arthur Spazilka, I never get his name right, the pin, who fought Deontay Wilder as well. So many top guys. So, champ, I just want to say big thank you for coming on my show, presenting champions today. And it's an honor. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me on. Always looking forward to, tell the story or, to speak about my life on, over the years on things that happened. So, I've had a great time, have a blessed time, with everything that I did, through the sport of boxing. And, now I'm at the end just saying I'm giving back with my gym, and I'm also trying to also help fighters how to protect themselves and protect their life,
Yeah.
so they can able to one day retire and, do what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Amazing. We'll get into some amazing aspects of your life. Before we do, where I'm looking at you now, champ, you're actually sideways. You're actually facing that way. Can you turn your phone for me, please, so that you're. Let's see if we can get you the other way up a minute. Um,
What that looks like to you.
because on this you're like on the side like that. So let's see if we
Mm.
can. That's it. There we go. I got you. I got you.
All right, man. Hold on 1 second. I think it was went off. There we go. Oh
Amazing.
my God.
That's it. We got a good view of you.
Yeah, my device keep going off and on.
Yeah. No, I can see you. As long as it's like that, I can see you, and so can the other people. Um, so let's get into it. As long as you're comfortable. Just for everyone out there, as you know, I usually do these on Zoom. We had a technical issue with Zoom today, so we're doing it here. And Owen's got a great story to tell, so I was determined to make it this way, and so was he. So getting into it, champ, you've had a very, very storied boxing career, which we'll get into. Definitely one of boxing's colourful characters. But when I was researching for this talk and getting everything ready, I found something that surprised me that I didn't know about you. Is on your Instagram there's x-rays of like a gunshot wound basically, or like the bullet inside of you. And I was thinking that overcoming adversity is a big part of what I do with these podcasts, these talks, is what I like to talk about. So can you share with us what the story is with, by the looks of it, you getting shot and living to tell the story, basically? What's the story behind that?
Well, this happened at a hotel I was working at as a kid, a young man, maybe 13, 14 years old. And one of the security guards there happened to be a friend of mine. And, we were just messing around. And for some reason, he went on his waist and did, kind of pulled his hand up, not knowing, that the gun was cocked. I don't know if he know or how it happened, but for some reason, by the time the gun came out of his waist, it was boom. I got shot, and we were both standing there looking for the bullet. But again, when it did hit me, I made 2 steps back, but I still didn't recognize that I got shot. And we were standing there looking for the bullet, and for some reason my left leg just went dead, just went numb. And I'm like, I got shot, and he's like, quit playing. I said, no, I'm not. I'm not playing. I got shot. So I lift up my shirt and I look down and I'm like, oh my goodness. It went through my shirt, went through my jeans and everything. And I'm like, I got shot. My left foot is gone. I went numb. So I went down. I went down and, you know, from there, the rest of it was just like history because I died on the way to the hospital. I revived at the hospital. I woke up again, went back out, died again. Then here comes that third time. So after the third time, um, going through surgery, I did go again. They revived me back eventually, and you know, um, I woke up to realize or recognize that I wasn't able to move. You know, I couldn't move my lower body anymore. My left, my whole lower body went numb. And when they told me the story, you know, about me paralyzed and I wasn't able to walk again. And I'm like, so what happened to my boxing career? And they're like, no, no, it's completely over. I'm like, nah, no, that's not all. God showed it to me, you know. So within that space of time, there was three times, and I visited three places. And it's weird to say because, you know, for the people who don't believe in God, you know, who say, "Oh, he's just telling stories." Well, no, this one is completely different. I visited three places. I went to heaven, hell, and earth. And my choice was to come back to earth because I wanted to finish my boxing career. I wanted to help people. I want to help people to do the same thing that I'm doing. You know, as far as boxing goes, I wanted to be able to help kids. I wanted to help mankind. Period. So it don't matter if I walk into a building with people without legs. I want to able to touch their life and touch them some in some way. I want able to touch them, and I was given that chance to come back and do it. That's why I have my own gym now, which is called Fist of Fire. You know, and it was just so touching. It was just so touching, and people recognize when you go to that point, you know, and leave from the bottom of the ladder, leave the bottom of the ladder to the top of the mountain. You know, that's where I've been, and how can that be possible for somebody like me to get to that point and overcame all of it? And I did because for some reason I don't know. I can tell a story, but if people never been there, they're not gonna really take from it and say, well, hey,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
It's amazing though. I mean, it's incredible because obviously in a moment now, we'll get more into the boxing side of things and also what you're doing with your gym. But this aspect of, being shot, surviving, having the bullet inside you, and there's a couple of things to go into here. First of all, um, is the bullet still inside you? And obviously you're fighting professionally with that. And the other thing is, you said you had these experiences after being shot and after seeing heaven and hell. And listen, man, I believe you, because there's so much more to this world than what we understand. So for everyone watching, we'll get into the boxing in a moment. We'll get into Deontay Wilder and all these crazy guys that Owen has fought.
Yeah.
But before we do, walk us through the first of all the medical aspect of the bullet being in you somewhere, and also just a little bit more about like your near death experiences because it's not something you hear every day. So I'd love to go into it a little bit more if that's all right with you, champ.
Yeah, that's cool. That's fine. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Um, so let's go to the part, the medical part. The medical part, I would say, the doctors, they weren't. I think it was a Cuban doctor who was in Jamaica that did that surgery, and what they did was 80% or 70% of my larger intestine was damaged from the bullet. The bullet was still inside me. The bullet was lodged, is lodged, and couldn't be touched. If they touch it, they would have more complications and put my life in more jeopardy.
Yeah.
So they went on to fixing my larger intestine and, patched me back up. I think I wake up during the time when they were doing some form of the surgery, and I get to fighting, boxers be, throwing punches, and they basically brought me back. They brought me back to life, and oh, they tied me down, did the surgery. Um, when I wake up hours later to recognize that it was over. My boxing career was over. There was never no hope for walking again ever. Just laying in bed there, and whatever happened happens. And I fought it through. I fought it through. I prayed. I cried. I did everything. You know. And then one day, it was a suddenly, I'm gonna try again. And I shift myself on the side of the bed and put my foot on the ground, and it felt good to touching ground again. And there it was, you know. So I went on with that throughout my boxing career. Um, to be honest, I'm in pain now. I'm in pain now still from the bullet where it's at.
Yeah.
But I've lived with this pain since I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
So I learned to carry that pain everywhere I go, whatever I do. I mean, I even go through airports, and every time I go through an airport, it's something. It's something.
Oh, you got
I get
the whistle going because
itch.
you've got the bullet. Yeah. Okay. So, like, yeah, every time you went in the metal detector, that's got to be like a stop and search or something, man. That's crazy. Um, I mean, I've got to say, man, surviving a shooting like that. I mean, everything we've heard so far. Passing away 3 times on the operating table, being brought back. It's exceptional. But as well as that, going through your boxing career, 42 fights, I believe, obviously all these big names I mentioned at the beginning. And I missed a few. I mean, we've got Manuel Chow, we've got Tony Thompson, we've got so many, names, George Arias, there's a lot of them. But like, going through that as well with the bullet inside you is just, it's next level, man. I mean, very, very few people can say they can do that. So you learned to walk again, and you decided that you were going to go again. But you also mentioned, um, just to touch on this briefly, because we'll have to get more into some boxing stuff now. But it's such a
Yeah,
story. These near-death experiences, when you actually passed away on the operating table, you say you went to these different realms. Let's touch on that a little bit, and what you experienced, because people can make of it what they will. I believe there's a lot more to this world than can be explained. In your words, though, champ, what did you, feel and hear and see during that time?
it is. Let me tell you, I like the ride that I take, and the ride that I take, it was God taking me on these rides.
Yeah,
So, it was like, okay, here's Earth. I look at the lady who was raising me up because I didn't have my parents with me. I've had, somebody was raising me up, and I look at her just dying. I look at her just shedding. I see her from maybe 170 pounds to 50 pounds, you know, and then my next ride, well, let's finish that. I see her just going through all these, tears and just different things just happening to her. She was just fading, and I couldn't take it. I couldn't, So I asked for another reason, another option. So God gave me another option. So I went to hell, and the devil, they were just doing their thing. He was having fun. He welcoming me in, and hey, I will give you this, I will give you that, you know, if you serve me, and I've already know the Bible, and I've already know Him. I'm there in the fire, the lake of fire, just hot as it could. I mean, hot. There, I don't think mankind could manage that heat.
Yeah.
But I was there. I was there, and he was like, "Hey, don't worry about this. I got this in control." No, you don't. No, you don't. You know. And then my third ride was heaven. Went to heaven, beautiful. You know, beautiful as it could ever get. I mean, try to think where I've been. That's beautiful. It's just like looking at some pictures and you're looking at Paris at night. Look how beautiful those pictures look. Puerto Rico. Just name it, Malaysia, Africa. You can see the beauty of the world. At Dubai. You look at those pictures and you say, "Wow, these places are just magnificent."
Yeah.
Know? But then, it was like, okay, if I give you the chance to go back and help that lady, because she was a believer that believed in you and take you in. She may not be there at your fights when you compete. She never be at your soccer match, your basketball games, stuff like that, your track and field meets. She may not be there, but she's got your best interests at heart. So
Yeah.
if you go back, you got to make sure you do whatever you do with her and, my people that you say you want to help, you're going to have your times, you're going to have your time to do that.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you this much, at this point where I'm at in life now, I have been to that point where I said, I'm going to close my gym down. When I get to the point saying I'm going to close my gym down, there goes that bullet. Flare back up. Um, if I even stand up, I couldn't stand up for more than 5 seconds. It will just put me right back on the ground.
Yeah.
And I just say, at this point, I just see, you know what? I don't care. If I gotta live in the gym for the rest of my life, I'm gonna stay here because I did say I want to serve, I want to help people, I want to go out and just do whatever God has me to do and not complain about anything. Whether I got a fighter who has 100 losses or 200 wins, I'm gonna stick with them right to the end. So
Yeah.
you know, it's just amazing just to see where I'm at and how it has been.
It is amazing. I mean, you know something, champ? That story, it is like it is incredible. I got so much respect for you, obviously for your boxing career anyway, but it's much deeper than that. The way you're helping other people, the way you're giving
Yeah,
back to people, and from the sound of
thank
it,
you.
the way you've been given a second chance, and as I say, for people watching this, however they want to interpret that, you've taken a negative and turned it into a positive, and
Absolutely.
but. getting into some boxing stuff, I mean, you've been in there with some incredible names. And what I'm actually going to do, because we've got people joining the live at different times, quick list of names here, or it's probably not a complete list, but just roughly, some of the guys that you've been in there with. Obviously we've got, first of all, you had a few fights early on in your career over in the UK, many in the States, many other places in the world. But we've got Monte Barrett, Ray Austin, Darnell Wilson, as I mentioned earlier, Nikolai Valuev, the 7 foot giant. You fought him, which is amazing in itself. Manuel Charr, Tony Thompson, obviously Deontay Wilder, and a few others I mentioned at the beginning. A few big Russian names there. Alex Lapie as well. So you've been in there with the best of the best, some of the biggest hitters. Not many people have tasted Deontay Wilder's power. I mean, Tyson Fury was talking about retiring recently because of that. For anyone who's seen the news, I know he's not the hardest puncher you face. We'll get to that in a moment. But talk to me
Right.
a little bit about some of these names and which fight was actually the toughest for you, because it sounds like your toughest fights have been outside of the ring. To be honest with you, your toughest fights have been in life. But out of these names, there's very few people in the heavyweight division who, have a resume like yours, and that's not even all the fights I've mentioned there. So,
Right.
those, which one was like the toughest fight of your career that you can think of?
Well, to be honest, with you, I've got a lot of people I sparred with, some of the big name guys, Johnny Nelson, you know,
Yeah,
James Buster Keaton, I used to be in Sheffield with them. So, that's basically where most of my, most of everything that I learned, especially with Brendan Ingle, that's where it really started for me. So, Lennox Lewis, those guys, it was tremendous. I mean, I think I had a rougher time in the gym than I ever had in a fight. And I've had a rough life on the streets than I had in a fight.
yeah,
So my biggest rival, the biggest rivalry that I can ever say about anything, and he's also one of my partner, my business partner with Live Vantage, would be Monty Barrett.
okay,
Monty Barrett take me to a place I didn't belong.
yeah,
He didn't care if I was going 12 rounds with Ray Austin or, Nikolai Valuev, one thing, Ray, Monty Barrett take me to a place where I thought it was just impossible, and it makes me think every time. It makes me think every time. Every time I pick up the phone, like I pick up the phone to call him over the weekend. And every time I think about it, I'm like, oh, he took me for a ride. I need to talk to him. We need to do this again. You know, since I'm okay, logically up here now, and physically up here, I'm right again because at one point the doctor told me it was over. It was over. Don't even walk foot in the gym. And over the last couple of years, being with Live Vantage, that has changed. So, but Monty Barrett took me to a place where I didn't want to be, I didn't expect to be, and didn't want to see, period.
yeah,
You know, and so for anybody that I can say, no disrespect to them or anything, but it had to be Monty Barrett. It had to be Monty Barrett. He took me for that ride was just, that just breaks my heart.
yeah. He took you in
you know,
trenches by the sound of it, which is something I know you have spoken about, and I've interviewed Martin Barrett as well. I don't know if you know that, but absolute legend of the sport. I'll give a shout out to him. Some of the names he's been in there with, just amazing. Obviously Klitschko, but Hakeem Rahman, Nikolai Valuev as well, Tim Witherspoon. David Hay, like the names he's been in there with, absolute legend of boxing.
Yeah.
So big respect to Monte if he watches this at any time. Going back to you though, so he was your toughest fight, but I've got to ask you about a couple of fights that people are always going to want to know about, given their nature. One of them is obviously Deontay Wilder. Because he's got this reputation as being this massive hitter. Obviously, stopping everyone he's faced by Tyson Fury. But even Tyson Fury is saying now that he might retire because of memory loss, because he had bumps on his head the size of a fist from Deontay and all of this stuff. But you went 3 rounds with Deontay, I believe. So talk to us about how his power measured up with some of these other guys that you were in there with, and his skill set, because a lot of people slate him for swinging and being a bit wild. Just give us your thoughts on like anything you'd like to share from your fight with him, anything that sticks with you this many years later.
Well, I had respect for him up to a certain point. When we first had a press conference, before the press conference, I mean, everything was good, real nice guy, and all that stuff. And then all the way up to the press conference, things just changed. So I'm like, okay, I mean, this is expected. He's a fighter. He's going to talk that big game. And, I'm all for it because at the end of the day, like I always tell most of the guys, lightning and thunder, they'll do the talking for me in there. So, you know, at the end of the day, it went on to the fight. He man up all up in my face just like that. Otto Spritz, a guy from Poland. Them guys just all up in my face. One of the things that, they gonna bully me or push me or make me feel scared of them. No, I fear no man. I fear no man. So when Wilder did his thing, it was up to it. And I'm like, I got elbowed. And I got that cut. And I'm like, no, this don't worth what they offered me. I was in a bad place when I take that fight. I was in the gym for less than 2 weeks when I take that gym. My trainer told me not to take the fight.
Yeah.
I took the fight because, like I said, I was in a bad place. I needed the money. I needed some reassurance of things that commitments that I made. I want to get some of those things solved. You know, um, from my last promoter, who I was with for most of my boxing career, and it was just one of them things. I'm like, no, what I'm getting paid here, it don't worth getting cut over the eye. Um, something else may go on because at the time too in Alabama, there was some things happen in Alabama that I did not like. I'm like, if these are the things that you're trying to portray as a fighter, and because it's your hometown, this fight don't need to happen here. Period. We need to fight somewhere on neutral ground where it's just gonna be me and you.
Yeah.
I can care less what your gang wants to say. I can care less if y'all want to kill me when I walk out these doors. I've already been dead one too many times. So I'm not scared of that. I'm not scared of that. You know what I mean? I say the same thing right now. My wife and my kids is my main concern.
Yeah.
If tomorrow morning I didn't wake up or when I get done with this interview, I die, I'm not I know where I'm going. I know where I'm going, so I'm not worried about, anything about death. I've already been there one too many times. I've had not only just been shot, but I've had men pulling guns to my head. Bang, 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 bang. didn't go off, been stabbed in the back. So, I've been through many obstacles, so I didn't fear what anybody else want to say or want to do.
Yeah.
But I just know when it goes in the ring, like I said, my talking is going to be lightning and thunder. Those are the two things that talks to me when I go in the ring. I know what I'm capable of doing.
Yeah.
I know what I was able to do in that ring. And thank God for, Johnny Nelson and, Dave Caldwell when they really introduced me to Brendan Ingle. And I learned some of Brendan's stuff, what he did with all these champions in Sheffield. Thank God for that. So, when I came to America in 2000, they've never seen nothing like what I did except for when they seen Prince Nassim Hamed fight.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's
um,
right again, sorry to cut in there, chat, but it's amazing, with not only talking about Deontay, but talking about, some of the other things you've overcome, which I think is really a theme today as well. You mentioned there that so not only have you been shot and you've survived and everything, but you were stabbed in the back as well. So what happened? Did someone creep up on you and, and get?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. So
Oh yeah, I'm from Jamaica, you know what I mean? And just say that, Kingston, Jamaica, where I got stabbed at, stuff like that happened there.
all the time.
You know,
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it wasn't like I was in a fight or anything like that. It's just something just really happened.
Yeah. Well, you've been in some tougher fights outside of the ring, I think, than inside of it. By the sound of surviving, obviously the gunshot, surviving the stabbing. It makes being in there with like Deontay Wilder and some of these top guys sound almost easy. Not that it's ever going to be easy, but it certainly sounds. You're very humble about it. Another one that
Yeah.
you mentioned.
And again too, Deontay came at the end of my career.
Yeah, yeah, one of your last.
He came to the end of my career, so
Yeah,
that was
two more after,
that was
like two more fights after him. So was that right? Or yeah, yeah. So yeah, right at the end of your career, that has to be said as well.
yeah,
There was bound to be
yeah,
a bit of wear and
right.
with that side of it. But hey man, I mean, there's absolutely no shame in that. I mean, getting in there with a big puncher like that is tremendous. Another one to ask you about, is obviously the Nikolai Valuev fight as well, because it's one of those fights that I think really intrigues people, even though he wasn't, no disrespect to him, but he wasn't technically the best. I mean, he was just big and forceful and all the rest of it. But still, getting in there with a 7 foot giant like that, 300 pounds, and just everything about him was an incredible, again, well, saying that compared to, everything we've talked about so far, maybe it wasn't as big as what it seems, but still great achievement. And I think the fight just really intrigues people because he, that man is a freak of nature. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but people that tall, that big. What was it like fighting him in terms of, again, anything that you want to share, like your strategy coming into the fight itself, post fight? Obviously, some people ask these questions about like this round or this particular thing, but at the end of the day, you were the one in there, not myself. And it sounds like there was a lot going on behind the scenes of a lot of these fights as well. So that's why I'm just turning them over to you in your own words. I also give a quick shout out to on this call. We've got Seamus Devlin on here, one of the most active boxers in the UK at the moment. Just so you know that he's
Respect to him,
yeah,
much respect to
one of
him
the most
too.
active. I think he might be the most active at the moment. He's fighting out every week. To give a shout out to him, we've actually got some great fighters watching this show as well as fans and people who love boxing generally. So thank you everyone for watching so far. Big shout out to all.
Awesome,
But anyway,
awesome.
going on from there, yeah, Nikolai Valuev, in your own words, 7 foot giant. Let's hear what that was like.
That was another man I didn't have no respect for. For one, that fight was scheduled for Madison Square Garden, New York City. Something was said. I was in camp for 8 weeks prior to that fight. Um, Maybe 10 days before the fight, or a week before the fight, they pulled him. He had got hurt in training. So I mentioned to Don, I asked Don King, I said, so what we're doing here, when is this going to be rescheduled? And he said, well, we're going to do it again in 2 months in Vegas at Mandalay Bay. We went back to Mandalay Bay. And basically I was just testing the water. When is he going to be ready? If he's hurt now in sparring, when is he going to be ready? They said, well, he should be ready in 6 weeks. Nah, it ain't going to take you no 6 weeks to get ready. If you're hurt right now, ain't no way you're going to be ready in 6 weeks. All right, fine. So we went on to Vegas. It happened, it was supposed to happen 2 months later. Same nonsense came around again. He got hurt again in camp. Then they said, all right, let's, next thing you know, he moved to Germany. And I said, I'm a fighter. They asked me, Don King asked me, you want to take this fight in Germany or you want it back in America? I said, I don't care where it's at. Fight is a fight. I'm ready to fight any day of the week, so let's do it. And if I went to Germany, I went there. I got to Germany basically 5 days before the fight. I'm like, what am I doing in Germany 5 days before a fight, Don? Where did everything go? Where's all the money? Where's everything? I should be here and get acclimated to the weather and everything. Well, we went to Germany. Everything was okay. I'm like, wow. And I mentioned about it at the press conference. I said, this fight was scheduled twice in Madison Square Garden, New York, and in Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay. What happened? Why that fight didn't happen? And they went on with some stuff, and I say, you know what? We're here. Let's get this done. Let's get this done because I'm here to fight. So and I felt great, but I know overtrained because the only time I had off for that was basically 3 or 4 days. So I basically stayed in camp, come home for a couple of days, you know, dad moved back, come back home again for a couple of days, just to relax, get away from camp for a minute. And that didn't help. So overtrained, you know. So it went from being tired to being fatigued now. That's what we got to, you know. And it's just like the whole thing about, stressed out and oxidative stress, terms you don't really hear. So I got to the point where I was dead. I went out there and I didn't give it everything I had. I just went in there to fight and felt some punches in the back of my head that I didn't want to get in the first place. And he wasn't the greatest hitter. He just caught me off balance most of the time. And the first knockdown that I went, the first punch that knocked me down, I was basically out balance. I was trying to move back. I remember the fight like he was yesterday. I was trying to move back, bring my foot too close, went down. With your stance, that means everything in the ring. How you step in, how you move in, it all comes together. So when you make the wrong move in there at times and get caught, that's gonna do some. It looks like it looks worse than it looks in the ring.
Yeah.
But I was able to overcome it and get back up. And I know the referee was just gonna. I know what he's gonna do. So I tried to fight, and next thing you know, I know that was waving it off. He's a 7 foot giant. He's supposed to be a giant, as big as it gets. So they do whatever they do there, and it was like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I left Germany heartbroken because I know that's not how it was supposed to be. But at the same time, when you're stuck in camp for almost a year, training for the same person over and over, it's not a good feeling.
No, and there's a burnout there, and an overtraining, and I totally respect that because these are some of the things that the fans don't see, that go on behind the scenes of the fights, and it's something
Right.
other fighters will understand. On the subject of that, we've got some great fighters watching this, but I can see we've got Wayne Alexander on here as well, former WBO challenger at light middleweight for the world title, also held the British and
Sweet.
like middleweight titles. He's on here watching our show. We've got a few other fighters on here. We've got Lance Cooks. He's a very good up and coming fighter from the UK. I think we've got a couple of hybrid boxers, if you've heard of that. Great MC Danny Kendrick, very well known MC, kickboxing, MMA.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep.
so we've got some great people watching. So big shout out to all of you. Um, but again,
Good job. Good job. Good deal.
yeah, no, I just like to give them a mention. But my supporters and yours too, by the look of it. But yeah, one of the things you mentioned here that I think was quite something is you were talking about well, there's a few things. I want to get into the sparring and working with Brendan Ingle and some of those guys in a moment. We'll get into that and Johnny Nelson and all those. Before we do though, you were talking just now about Don King, and you were talking about basically giving Don King a hard time and giving him, run for his money. What am I doing here? What's going on? A lot of people were afraid of that man. Obviously he's still active now, 90 years old. I think it is, so fair play to him. But you were talking about giving him a hard time, just saying, Don, what am I doing in Germany? 5 days before the fight, such and so forth. So what was it like working with him? What was it like? What was he like as a personality? Was he as sort of menacing as people say, or is he more sort of fun loving? Be good to get your insight on, working with him as a promoter, basically.
Well, I was talking to another world champion, Richard Hall, light heavyweight. He lost the WBA title to Roy Jones. And we were talking last week about this because I do have, most of the Jamaican boxers come in here for a Jamaican Boxer Reunion that we started a few years ago, and I'm the host of it and all. So, but we were talking, and we got on the subject with Don King, and I had to learn to get over the mistakes that I make. I mean, we all can blame Don King and say, he does this or he does that, but at the end of the day, it's us boxers, it's us individual to take responsibility for our own self for what we did. So we can say the devil do this. No, the devil didn't do it. The devil tempt you, and you heed to it. So that was one of the things. I love the sound of everything that was offered on the table. I love the offer, and I jumped for it. Didn't know what I was getting ready what I was getting ready to eat.
Yeah.
Don King, he's just, when you're with Don King, he is just the guy who makes you feel at home, a home away from home. You're welcome. You're welcome in my presence. You're welcome into royalty. That's how Don King presents himself.
Okay.
Behind the scenes is what most of us don't see. So therefore, Hey, it is what it is. But right there then and now, when you say you're gonna make a deal with Don King, do not present something, a deal by yourself, because that's where a lot of people do things they they shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
That's a mistake most of us make. And I know there's a lot of guys they can tell you the same story or something different,
Mm.
but that's my story. When you talk to Don King, when you deal with a promoter, you don't need to do business with somebody because they are on top of the world or they're king of the world. You don't deal with them alone. You deal with them with somebody who has your best interests at heart.
Yeah.
You yourself as a fighter, you gotta have your best interests at heart. And I I for some reason just think I could have do this on my own. I could have do this on my own. I didn't need nobody to help me. Now I look at here, my wife is at work, so she's watching. She's got my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
My kids got my best interest at heart. You know,
It makes sense.
um,
It does make.
so I mean, I gotta put the time in. I gotta do everything that I'm doing right here. I'm like, I've got to do this for my family. I got to do this for my loved ones, the ones who are here with me, who cares for me every step of the way that I take here. And with no doubt, my wife does. She's got everything. I mean, if I hurt, she wants to take my pain away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're with somebody, when you're with a promoter or with somebody who says they care about you, they care for you, they should be able to say, hey, if I could endure this pain for you, I would endure the pain. I want to be here every step of the way. I want to be here every time you go, oh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts. I want to be here. You'll say, I'm hungry. I want something to drink. I want something to eat. They got to be there for you. you know those are just the things that you gotta look at. Fighters gotta look at and make sure they don't make the same mistake. And I said no as a promoter now, because I'm a promoter in the state of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I won't treat my fighters the same way I was treated. I will treat these fighters with respect, integrity, everything. I will make sure I'm loyal to them. They fulfill their job. I want to be loyal to them and make sure they come out on top or come out wherever they need to be at.
Yeah.
Just like I take on the business, say, hey, this right here will help you from concussion. We're fighters. We're competitors. We're gladiators. We take punching every day. We bruise, we hurt.
Yeah.
Here's this little thing right here that's gonna help you with concussion. This is the thing that's gonna help you with brain trauma. This is what gonna help you to prevent it. Here it is. I want to present this to them as they go, so they know, hey, I want to make sure you're able to perform when you're supposed to perform. Don't bring something different to the table. You got thousands, millions of people out there supporting you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those people, you gotta love and respect them, because you know what? If they say, hey, tickets are $1,000 a piece, those people are paying that $1,000 to come and watch you.
Mm.
So, so you gotta able to go out and perform. So those are things that I want my fighters to do when they get to the point where I came from nothing to something. I want them to be able to do the same thing, able to perform. You know, I was just one of them radio who I wish if I had the products I had now. I wish if I had it when I was fighting,
Yeah.
because that would have saved me a lot of things. You may, you know, the people that I have, especially in business, you know, they just they just tell me, hey, I want to help you. I want to make sure you're putting this where it needs to go, that where that needs to go. Put your team where it needs to be. There, everybody needs to be a supporter and there to support you when you need it the most.
Yeah.
Especially when you lose a fight. You know, when you lose to a Monty Barrett, you look at it and say, man, oh my God, oh, did I want this right? No. You know, you look at Deontay Wilder and say, I think I make a wrong choice. I made a wrong decision on this fight because I wasn't in shape. This is a younger guy coming up. I wasn't ready for this fight.
Yeah.
Can I do that fight now? Or would I want that fight now? You bet it. You put that paper in front of me, it's signed. It's done. It's a done deal. That's the kind of shape that I'm in. I'm feeling a lot better than I was now than when I fought him. So, you know, that's where it stands. Like I said, you know, Frank Warren, you know, that was another good promoter. Loved him. Um, had great conversation, great. Everything was good that I had with Frank Warren, but I wanted to move to the U.S.
Yeah.
I wanted to move to the U.S. because I think when you move to the States, you're in the U.S. You're playing with the big dogs now.
That's it.
You know,
But you have said that you know, that you have sort of mixed feelings about leaving Frank Warren as well. You know, I mean, I've seen that in other interviews. Before we do that, I just give a quick shout out. We've got more great fighters on here. We've got Josh Whale as well, former British bantamweight champion. We've got. I'm sorry if I miss anybody because I can't see everyone who's watching, but we've got some great people watching this. Anyway, yeah. So you have said that you sort of have mixed feelings or maybe even some regrets about, you know, leaving Frank Warren. How do you feel about that now? Because these interviews I saw or I read were like a few years ago, and you maybe have had more time to reflect on, you know, on that because some of your early fights were obviously over in England, but at the end you went to the US to sort of make it big, which I totally get my head around. I totally respect that. Leaving Frank Warren and also working with Frank Warren, you know, what it was like working with him. It'd be good to get into, you know, that timeline and sort of share a little bit about him as well, you know?
well, some of the guys that I share my boxing experience with was also here in the States. You know, because I landed in Nashville, Tennessee. You know, my boy Vinod Barrett, he was on the season contender
Yeah,
1 year. And Vinod and I grew up. We traveled together, representing Jamaica, just pretty much everywhere we was traveling. You know, growing up in the amateurs. And so when I came for a visit, it was like, you know, this is home. This is home. And I didn't think Frank Warren liked that move at the time either. But then, you know, there was some stuff happen where I'm leaving from in the amateurs. When I left Malaysia, you know, Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia,
yeah,
after the CSC, the British Commonwealth Games, I was super heavy. And from super heavy, you know, heavy, then, you know, cruiserweight, super middle, it wasn't gonna happen. It wasn't gonna happen. I felt You know, I think it was me and Junior. Me and Junior Witcher went to Jamaica. You know, and I think my brothers that picked me up, everybody, the ones who came to the airport and picked us up. I mean, they didn't even recognize who I was. I'm like, if you can't recognize me now as a cruiserweight, just imagine when I go to super middle, I'm gonna look like a strong crackhead. You know, or a weak crackhead. I don't know. So I didn't think I could have made super middle. I didn't want to do it. So I didn't want, if cruiserweight was all right, I wasn't going to super middle. That wasn't gonna happen.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah.
You know. So I mean, I started my weight. I started at what 125 pounds, all the way to super heavy. When I started boxing, and back down to super. No, no, that wasn't gonna happen. So um, I don't know if they remember about that, but that was what happened when I just say, you know what, I'll come to America and you know play with what's going on here.
Yeah, play with the big boys, you know. It makes
Yeah,
sense. It does make a lot of sense, you know, the move there. But it's good to give that a mention, you know, for obviously our British audience as well. Hopefully catering to, you know, British, US, bit of everything here today. So that's very cool. Obviously, you know, we need to talk about a few other things, including obviously as I mentioned before, the sparring, and obviously I want to talk a little bit more about your gym, and what you're doing now to help the youth. So that, you know, there's different things that we can get
yeah.
into. There's been some solid advice for fighters as well, and for anyone on here, you know, listen up with that, because you know you've given some really good advice for fighters. You know, some of which you've learned the hard way, but it's really good to give that out there. One thing I do want
Mhm.
to touch on a little bit though is we've talked about some of these big fights that you had, and it sounds like there were some less than ideal circumstances and so on and so forth. If we flip that on its head and we look at like what the proudest moment of your career is, um, in your own eyes, you know, and that type of thing, like what you regard to be your high point, you know, where you look back and you think that was the fight, or that, you know, maybe it's more than one. I mean, it might be more than one, but you know, even if it was a time in your career, if it was one fight, if it was anything, what would you say is the proudest moment of your boxing career, and also why?
I think let's see. That would have been in Atlantic City when I won the WBA featherweight title. That was one of the moments because I was facing that crowd for a third time, and that crowd is hard to please. That crowd is hard to please. They 1 minute they love you, next minute they hate you. And I went from love me, no, I went from hate me to love me to hate me to you're king of the world.
Yeah,
That's where it went. That's where it went. At that fight, and I left Atlantic City like a hero. Left Atlantic City like a hero because all the obstacles that I've had to obtain there while I was there, those three times when I fought there. So it was just overwhelming experience. It was I say it was amazing because I was embraced in a way where I didn't expect it. And there was just the people around boxing, the people in boxing at the same time. There was another man there, another boxing manager who managed Lemon Brewster, who was Sam Simon.
yeah,
The way he embraced me after that fight, it was unreal. It was unreal. And when somebody give you thousands and thousands for a shorts you just wear in the ring, like the man just take it. Hey, you don't even understand it. What I want on the shorts is already there. What the heck? And I'm like, what were you talking about? And I'm like, hey, it's yours. It's yours. You know? So that was one of those moments. Um, Another great moment was in Germany when I fight Valuev. Um, the way the Germans made me feel like I was a family, because my family history or my family roots is from Germany.
Okay. Yeah.
So I felt honored. I mean, I had a birthday there. I was there on my birthday, May 31st, because that fight was June 3rd. And when my birthday for my birthday, and the way the way they present me with stuff, I was like, yes, I belong here. I belong here. These people, it's real. They love me. I mean, I even hear Don King said it out of his mouth. He said that at the time the hotel we stayed at, the hotel was locked down. That room, that floor, maybe like 50 rooms, 100 rooms. That floor was locked down to my team only.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? And when Don King walked in, he said, never in history I've ever seen this. Muhammad Ali never had this experience. A whole floor locked down for him. I mean, that sound like him. But a whole floor was locked down for my team only. So basically, the rooms, they were unlocked. I had friends, family members, people who come, they had a room because that was Team Beck's floor.
Yeah.
People come on that floor and they wanted to sit down and eat with us, eat with Owen Beck, drink with Owen Beck. That team, like I said, the floor was just, everything was on there. There was, I forgot what and I shouldn't have forgot these Italian guys who did this, but they had everything that I wanted on that floor. So they know basically what my diet was, and it was there. You know, there were some days I eat a little bit of pasta with whatever chicken I wanted, whatever fish I wanted. They brought everything there when I needed it. So that was one blessed moment that I can say, yeah, it was happening. I mean, I could have probably take Germany, put in my pocket, and take it back to Jamaica.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, a very warm welcome by the sound of it, and
yeah,
very well deserved. But it's also good not only to get a feel for your proudest moments, but also to get a feel for the fact that you truly are an international fighter. Not only with your background, obviously with Jamaica, with the UK, with the USA, all being in there, but also the places you fought, man. I mean, we've got everything from over here in the UK, Liverpool, Dagenham. We've got obviously all different parts of America, all over the states. More than I can count.
yeah,
You've got Germany. I've just actually got a list here. You've got, I think you had one in Australia, didn't you? You've got Poland. You've got all these different places. So it's good to get a feel for that and give that a mention because you weren't afraid to go, into people's backyards, basically, which is another thing. But I'd love to get into that. But for the sake of time with this, because given it sort of,
I got, I gotta say this much too.
yeah,
I, I fought in Australia.
Yeah.
That was not a moment. That was one of them times I said I could live here
Okay.
in Australia. Jamie Mayer was that guy was just that guy was awesome. He was awesome. And um for all the great fighters that was there that, fought back in the day with Ali and everybody, it was just a great moment. It was an awesome moment to share with those guys that was there at the time too. So Australia was one of them places that I can say, yes, it was. Beside England, Australia was one of the other points where I say I could live at.
Yeah. Amazing. Truly, an international fighter, and you truly were a globetrotter in your day with that, which is, I'm really glad we could give that a mention as well. Obviously, like I was saying, for the purposes of time, if we give it sort of 15, 20 minutes from here, I'll have to come off around that time. What's it there now? About 20 past one, isn't it? I think.
two,
Yeah.
two,
Right, cool.
fast
20
two.
past two, right. So if we say by about 20 to 3, I'll have to wrap this up. But a couple of other things to get into before we do, because it's absolutely fantastic talk that has exceeded my expectations by a long way, and I'm not just saying that, champ. I mean that from from the heart. um Another thing to touch on, obviously, for the UK fans over here, your time with Brendan Ingle, Johnny Nelson, some of these guys that you were talking about. You mentioned a few names earlier that you sparred with. Actually, it was quite an impressive list of names, and I'd like to
Must,
get into that a little bit as
mhm.
well. I mean, I've met Johnny Nelson, a fantastic individual. Some of these guys from that stable, just next level. So being a part of that, I'd like to talk about that. Then we'll probably talk about your gym a little bit more, and we'll have to sort of wrap it up a bit from there. But let's go a bit
Okay.
into that time when you were sparring with some of those guys, and any other sparring stories that you feel are relevant, because you've been in there with some of the absolute elite, not only in the ring. And for anyone that's coming into this late, obviously we've talked about Deontay Wilder, we've talked about Nikolai Valuev, we talked about some of these guys, and only a few. I mean, I'd love to talk about them all, but we'd be here until next week. So that's cool. But in terms of some of the sparring that you've been in there with, share with us a little bit about that, please, champ. Again, anything you'd like to say about it, some of your most memorable sparring moments would be fantastic.
Man, just fun with the lads there, you know. And like I say, Johnny got Junior Whittle, James Pussykey, and Ryan Rhodes, you know, Kill, you know, all the lads there. I mean, Dave Carver, everything, everything was amazing. It was amazing. It was an amazing feeling just to work with those guys and, you know, just in the gym, out of the gym. It was just amazing. Just amazing. Just how our daily schedule goes. It was like perfect, you know. And then coming here to, Jonathan Reed, Keith McKnight, all those guys that did stuff here, Vin Roy, you know, that list goes on, you know, put on the Oliver McCall, uh,
Yeah, Lennox Lewis, I think you mentioned at the beginning.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, Lennox Lewis, we had great time, not only just me in boxing, but also basketball in Jamaica, because I also played basketball for a team, Negro Lions.
okay.
And when Lennox Lewis was there in Jamaica, that's where most of what we did when sparring and basketball. So we were not only just competing in boxing, we were competing in basketball, because Lennox Lewis can play basketball too, you know.
Yeah,
And when he's there, it's the big guy against I think back then I was fighting middleweight. you know,
Okay, yeah,
so it was a heavyweight versus a middleweight. But we had some good time because back then I was the big guy. I'm posting up playing basketball. So it was from basketball over to boxing. So we were throwing down, and it was like never seen. It was like one of them scenes that never nobody has ever really seen. And if they had seen it, they would have loved it because they would. It was just one of them moments, man. It was just one of the magical moments, you know. Mentioned. So we went back to the Albert McCalls, the Riddick Bowe, Chris Bird, Layman Brewster, his name, and a lot of this keep goes on with those guys. And we had some good moments. Not to mention the guys in Atlanta, you know, Chris Johnson, the Derek, Cedric Boswell, who was also one of my lost in Miami,
yeah.
you know. So those moments with those guys was just amazing. Was just amazing. It was some memories that needs to be on film. Everybody needs to see those moments. They started a live story on my life. And I think what the directors are trying to find right now is the money to finish it because to go ahead and proceed with things because we want to drop back in Sheffield, want to drop back in England, we want to go back to Jamaica and go back to the roots where things really started. So that's where we at on the story of my life. There was a part started, and
Oh, amazing.
we've done one segment so far, but we're on pause right now until we're able to come up with some money to go forward with it. You
Yeah,
know,
that is amazing because I was actually going to say that your life would make like a great book or a great movie. Actually, I was thinking that, and so the fact that they're working on that, obviously it takes a bit of time to pull these things together. Anyone who's watching this who's got any connections in the film industry, give this man a shout as well. If there's anyone who can help him out, because it'd be an amazing story. And I can see somebody very very cool. Um, Playing you. I don't know if they got to be the right size, but like somebody like Jamie Foxx or somebody like really, do you know what I mean? Like really sharp like that playing you. Like yeah, Jamie
yeah,
Foxx
but
or
they need to see the street side. They need to see the street side and see
yeah.
you know places I came out of. So
Oh yeah, man.
I'll be on.
'Cause that's another story altogether, as we've heard a bit about today, and I'm sure with that we've just like that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure, but moving into one of the last phases of this talk, that I want to get into, is obviously the fantastic work that you're doing today, that you mentioned at the beginning. We touched on at the beginning with obviously your own gym, with the youth work, and with sort of helping people not only with boxing but with life, which is a big part of the reason I've got so much respect for it. And basically, what I'd like to do with this is get your thoughts on advice for like the young fighters, the young athletes, even just people in general out there, that you can share with them. Obviously, if they want to know more, they can come to your gym, they can approach you on social media. But if there's like just a couple of things that we can talk about on here. Let's get into that, but also you can share a bit about your gym, what it's called, and just to raise a little bit about the cause as well. So I know this is a big question, but let's get into this as our last one.
All right, well, I just say you gotta stay true to what you do. Boxing is not a baby sport. Boxing is a big man sport. Something you're gonna look at 20 years from now when you retire and your brain is functioning right. You can look back at all your memories and say, Well done. I listened. I didn't listen. And I didn't listen to this individual when I was supposed to. Step into the ring with a passion, knowing that my pride, my dignity depends on it. If I win, it's to help. Yeah, we all get to celebrate. We all get to have fun. We lose. I'm on the downside. I'm heartbroken. Is anybody there to help me up? Anybody there to pick me up? Anybody there to give me any advice on what I didn't do that I should have done? How I got hit when I shouldn't have got hit. Put me back to saying, hey, let's go back and watch this tape and pinpoint what you did wrong. I have to do that with my fighters in my gym. When we after a competition, sometimes I have 10 guys. A while back, I had 18 Golden Gloves champion
Wow.
and 2 that was ranked in the country.
Yeah.
And those fighters, I had to, when win or losing, I had to take them back and show them what they done wrong, show them their mistake. Go back to the gym whenever we go back to the gym that Monday after the weekend. I go back and I say, you know what? Let's go back to the basics. Your stance is here. Your rhythm is here. Your jab, your right hand, your hooks, your uppercuts, your slipping, your rolling, taking angles. We gotta go back to where it first started and said these are the things that you did wrong when you were supposed to do it. How can you do this without proper guidance?
Mm.
One, at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. I used to have my guys at 5 a.m. or 5:30. They all meet me at the gym. We take off running. We come back. I said, this part, especially this hours in the morning, it's important to mingle with each other,
Mm.
have fun together. We go back in the gym. We're here. Let's have fun doing this. Yeah, there's a lot of intensity and all, but you have to have fun. You have to have passion for this. If you hurt, I hurt. If you lose, I lose. People, the fans are there, they come to watch you. You better show up and show off.
Yeah.
We ain't got time to waste. Life is short. You may not know it if tomorrow morning you're gonna wake up, but you gotta give your best today, right now. Every time you step in that gym, you're competing with yourself. Owen Beck was competing with Owen Beck. I was faster than the Owen Beck in the mirror. I was faster than that guy in the mirror. I look prettier than that guy in the mirror. I move better than that guy in the mirror. So I'm competing with him. I step in the ring, it's the same thing in my mind. I'm hitting the bag, it's the same thing in my mind. I go running. Whoa, I'm running 10 miles today. My guy probably running 5. I'm gonna run 10. I'm gonna make sure I'm doing 10. I go to strength and condition work. I'm giving everything. I called my trainer. I called my strength and condition. I called him a killer. He said, "Oh, you got no strength to call him a killer. You got no time to do another exercise. Go back over it another hour. Let's go. This ain't no baby stuff. We ain't here playing games. We ain't got time to waste. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You gotta give it everything. You can't if I'm but here. Oh, I gotta go take care of this. Oh no, that can wait till later. I got this to do now because you know what? Like Brendan Ingle always say, you get punched in the head, you're gonna kill you. You wanna get killed? You better focus on what you're doing and see everything that's coming and get away from it.
Yeah.
Because when that head is gone, it's over.
Yeah.
Almost.
It's powerful lessons, champ. I mean, there's a lot in there, as I mentioned at the beginning, about boxing, but also about life, that people can apply. I mean, we've got into some amazing stuff today, that's really blown me away, and it's really exceeded my expectations. I mean that from the heart. I can tell that a lot of people who've watched this have enjoyed it a lot, and feel free, guys, whether you're watching this now, whether you're watching this on replay, please like and comment and share and all the good stuff. But champ, for the purposes of time, I'm going to have to wrap this up now. I mean, I would have loved to go on a bit more. But again, it's gone past like what I thought of at the time. But I mean that in a good way, because we've got into so much good stuff that we've gone deep. And
Yeah, looking at mine now, there's a young man on there that I grew up with, Junior Lynch.
yeah,
And then my wife, Bonnie Souza, the actress, she's at work. So she's on, she probably busy, but she's listening to my voice. So I gotta shout her,
yeah,
amazing woman, woman.
absolutely. Shout
You
out to
know,
her. And, the way that you described that she supports you and everything she does, it's absolutely amazing. I want to thank you, champ, from the bottom of my heart for sharing everything that you've shared, because, one of the things I like to do with fight interviews is get into some deeper stuff. Is obviously talk about the fights, but to get into some deeper stuff. And when you've sort of heard one fight interview that's all about like weight classes and some of the basic stuff, you sort of heard them all. So I like to get into some deeper stuff, and today we've certainly done that. I want to say a big thank you for your time, and a big thank you for sharing everything you've shared. Really appreciate it. And obviously, we've done this in an improvised way because of what happened with Zoom. So, I just want to say that shout out to the fans, the fighters around the world for taking the time to watch this. Obviously, you can follow Owen and the amazing work he's doing with his gym. He's on social media, not a hard man to find, on Instagram, Facebook. You can reach out to him and his gym. Fist of Fire, am I saying that right? Fist of Fire.
one day, fifty
So
five.
you can reach out to the work he's doing. Guys, for anyone that doesn't know, my show, my YouTube channel, Simply Inspired, with a subgroup presenting champions, where I do these inspirational interviews on over 250,000 global views and listens. So, this should give you a taster today. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. You can find that on my profile. So, please feel free to do that. But champ, once again, thank you so much, and hopefully you've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed it a great deal, and I'm sure everyone's enjoyed watching and listening to it as well. And as well as being entertained by the fights, people will have taken some value away from this that they could use in their day-to-day lives as well, I believe. So thank you
Absolutely,
so much.
absolutely.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem. All right.
All right.
Yes, I also have the next time we'll talk about the martial arts side of it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely, man. We can do some more follow up of these, because I know there's a lot
yeah.
that we could.
I'm testing later this year for my third degree black belt in Nishinro karate. So I'm testing maybe October for my third degree black. So
Okay. man of many talents. Well, yeah,
Absolutely.
good luck for that, man. Good luck for that. Your future is bright.
Right.
The future is bright for you, Um, but no, thank you. And once again, also I will do my best to record this and put it up on YouTube as well to get more viewers on there. Um, but yeah, I'll have to wrap it up in literally 2 minutes. Any final words for your fans and
Right.
supporters before you go?
Hey, hey, I appreciate everybody that's watching. Just gotta stay loyal, gotta stay real, gotta be true to people. Um, a lot of it, you say, this will be up and rolling. I want everybody to also tune into what I do on Pistol Fireboxing with the kids in my gym or the young man and woman that's coming up in my gym. So, we always out looking for things, trying to help get people to donate to the program and all that stuff. Um, I do have a show next week, next Friday night for the Jamaica. Is the boxing on Friday, and then the boxing reunion on Saturday, which I probably will do that live on Facebook. Also from the gym where I'm coming from, I have to do a memorial service for the man who basically gave me and a bunch of these guys that are coming in a chance at life. Because if we were still in Jamaica or still, this man gave us a chance at life to do something.
Yeah,
So just follow Fist of Fire Boxing on Facebook, Instagram, and we're keeping it up.
amazing,
Keeping it up.
amazing.
Awesome.
Well, champ, thank you so much for your time once again. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love everything that you represent, not only with boxing, but with helping people with your humility, your discipline. Thank you so much. I've really got to go because I'm late for actually for another call. But thank you so much again. Enjoy the rest of your day, fans around the world. Hope you enjoyed it. Best wishes, and all I'll say, peace and love to every one of you. God bless. Thank you again, champ.
All right, man. One love. One
One
love.
love. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day. And everyone watching around the world, best wishes from me to all of you. Thank you all for watching. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.